Happening now on Grid Tonight. The 2024 British Touring Car Championship season is right around the corner. What are some of the most important headlines from preseason testing and media day? An updated version of the IndyCar Aero Screen will debut this weekend at Long Beach. What improvements have been made for the drivers? Andrea Kimi Antonelli got to test the Mercedes Formula One car. Was this test just to let him see what an F1 car feels like, or just a small part of a bigger plan for 2025? Hello to all of our viewers watching here in the United States and around the world. Welcome to Grid Tonight, your weekly motorsports news program. I'm Kobe Lamont, and with me are Joshua Burch and Matt White from Grid Endurance Performance Inlets. We encourage everyone to comment and chat, ask questions, and support us through Super Chat. Our own Jackson Lambros will be at the track this weekend covering the NTT IndyCar Series Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. Consider using Buy Me a Coffee to support Jackson's on-site coverage. Now here's Josh with our top story this evening. Another one of our honored talents who was at the track this week. And if you really like what you see tonight, maybe you can buy Josh a cup of coffee for going to the track.
Thank you, Kobe. Yeah, whose idea was it to let me out of the commentary box and trackside? I've got really red. Look at me, I'm burned. But it rained. It was thundering and lightning. They called the test off an hour early, and I've still managed to get sunburned. How British do I have to be sunburned by rain? But yes, evening, Jess. The 2024 Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship had its third and final test. Where have I gone? Hello? I've vanished. Oh no. Sorry, Kobe. That's brilliant. So I was like, I've my camera turned off, but it's exactly the same photo that I've used. That completely caught me by surprise. Okay, so the 2024 Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship had its third and final test yesterday at Donington Park. Why am I telling you about this? Because it was also the season launch of what is a vastly different series than the year before. New teams are struggling to get onto the grid, and everyone is chasing down the Napa Fords after last season taking 9 out of the 10 pole positions. And of course, he had victories at every single circuit. This season also, for the first time, sees the BTCC become the first championship to air on TikTok via ITV Sports account in an effort to gain younger viewers worldwide. So if you're interested, take a look at what everyone had to say as I went down to Donington and first of all caught up with the locals, but also the big boss himself, Alan Gow. Alan, brand new touring car regulations this year with a whole new hybrid system, brand new qualifying. You've been out there in the paddock, same as me. How's it looking out there? Are the drivers happy with everything?
Oh, the drivers love it. Well, the hybrid system's the same as what we've had. It's just an increase in amount of power. So the drivers all love that. If you go and talk to any of the drivers, they're really looking forward to it.
Are you looking forward to it as well, another season?
I always look forward to it. And the changes we've made for this year, I think it'll make it pretty special.
Any news on the calendar? Formula One beat you to it this year.
Yeah, first time in their history. Yeah. But no, we normally put the calendar out about June, so...
Any surprises in the lineup?
Shouldn't be. Not unless someone builds a new circuit between now and next year, no.
I miss Rockingham, just personally. I know.
So do I. I used to love Rockingham.
I did. Thank you, Alan, for 3 times today.
No problems.
Thank you. Yeah, I ran into him 3 times, 4 times in total. I actually ran into him after that as well. But I was up and down that paddock 100 times, walked 26,000 steps and 12 miles, including walking the circuit. And I'm back in vision. That really caught me out of guard. Maybe I should have used a different photo, but I didn't think. So when I vanished, I was like, what happened? But a massive thank you from me personally to everybody in that British Touring Car paddock for being so welcoming and personally welcoming me to the paddock. Everyone shook my hand, said hello, and welcome in as well. And it's just a fantastic family, the British Touring Car paddock as well. But to follow on what Alan said there, he was very kindly stopped because he was coming out of the media centre and I was signing off, but he stopped for a second. Matt, new hybrid power units this season, giving all the drivers double the amount of power and allowing longer and closer battles. But will it deliver even more exciting racing?
Yeah, indeed. Let's hope so. They took away the weights, didn't they, a couple of years ago when they brought the hybrid in as the equalisation, I guess, between everybody. And there was a lot of people that scoffed at it at the time and went, well, I'm not sure that's going to work. But actually, it produced some very good racing at times last year. And now with double the push-to-pass power, I suppose you want to call it, to use an IndyCar term, we're going to see even more exciting racing at the front of the field. We'll get to that in a minute, but the grid has shrunk compared to the last few years, but I think it's going to be quality over quantity. And with the technical changes that we've seen behind the scenes over the winter, looks like it should be another fascinating year of touring car action here in the UK for 2024.
Absolutely. Now, I caught up with the Accelerate Bristol Street Motors boys, Tom Chilton, Tom Ingram, several times throughout the day. They were actually one of the most kindest teams of all to help us out. But about this new hybrid system, Tom Chilton said the car feels better than last year. And when you actually press the button on the hybrid, you feel a massive difference. Tom Ingram said the car's amazing as well. And the track was green, and they were waiting for Chilton to do a few laps to see what their run plan was going to be. Because at the start of the day, it was damp out after the filming for the ITV stuff. And then it dried out midday. And then right at the end, it threw it down. Then when I walked the track, it dried out. But don't listen to me. Listen to what the drivers had to say. These were taken from when I was live yesterday as well. Let's catch up with the rest of the touring car paddock. So, have you been caught up? Because I've been going around everybody, and the second we go live, we can't find any drivers.
Oh, well, they're all committed to the autograph. You see, you have to queue up and get an autograph. You can't just walk up to the driver. There's a 20-minute queue to get Colin Turkington out there. So
I was just looking. I was like, that's right. I felt how cheeky it would be if I just walked through the back of the paddock and interrupted them. But it's like, this is fan time.
Yeah, well, it's normally like that, but an autograph session, can you queue up like the rest of them? Come on.
I've got 20 minutes of what was I talk about? I'm not Murray. I can't do it all. Well, I could, but what's coming up there on ITV this year? We got anything new?
No, we're going to be exactly the same. We'll have all 10 rounds, comprehensive coverage, mainly on the Sunday, qualifying live on the Saturday, and it'll. I think it normally amounts to about 70 hours of live coverage a year. So I think we get the best of it.
Excellent. Thanks. I'll take care. I'll see you soon.
Right, all the best.
And let's get his stuff down. Hello. How was it? Because Tom Shaw went out first this morning, he told me when we met.
Yeah, Tom, we sent Tom out to just basically have a look around the circuit more than anything else. Yeah, good. Yeah, really, really good. Tom and I have topped the times, so it's a good start to the year. Could just do with this weather. We're just doing a bit of a tweak of the week going on in the garage now, so we could do with validating this one.
That's what I thought as well. Good luck out there this afternoon, and I'll try and catch up with you at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Hiya again. Yeah, how was it out there? You topped the session.
Yeah, nice to be the A team. We're P1, P2, aren't we? But it's obviously just testing, but you don't know what everyone's doing, but it's a good start, isn't it? The car's obviously strong, and I've always liked the circuit.
You do go well here a lot as well. You said this morning that when you actually press the button, it feels like something. Is the extra hybrid power just making you that more competitive with the nappers out there?
Well, we've all got the same, haven't we? So we're all doing the same speed, but it was just when you hit it, you feel it. Whereas last year you hit it and you didn't really feel it. It was like a light push from behind. Whereas now it's like whoosh, because it's a lot better. So yeah, I think everyone's enjoying it. Everyone's going faster. And I think as a driver, when you're all going faster, you're all happy. Excellent.
Good luck this afternoon. I'll try and catch up with you this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
See you later. Hi. Sorry, we're live out there. Yeah, sorry. Oh, speak there. How's the car going out there? Because I saw this morning there was a bit of issue for Josh Cook. They were all complaining around it when I was looking around this morning.
I mean, I'm not Josh Cook, so
no, I know. But you've been hanging around talking all day, so I thought I was hoping. And then I'm going to get onto your promise.
Yeah, he's not having the most productive day. There's a few little issues with the car. But they're working through it. Obviously, it's only the fourth day in the car, and it was sort of built fairly late notice. So they're just running through a few things. Hopefully get them running this afternoon.
Are you going to get out there some point this year?
Trying to. As it stands, no. We're still looking for that extra bit of money, but we don't quite have it yet. So fingers crossed that it'll come at some point. If not, I'm sure I'll find something else to do.
Now, everyone watching on the YouTube channel, because we do the watch-alongs for the races as well, everybody always especially last season when you were making some fantastic moves, always say about how great Jade Edwards is out there as well. So know you've got fans and supporters, I know you do. But Touring Cars Big Dream, I was actually at your first race a couple of years ago. Oh, Adam Morgan going by. I'm sorry, I'll let you go back in a second. Great racing, great action out there, and absolutely proving that women can drive in touring cars and racing motorsport as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm out there initially because I'm just a driver that's worked up the ladder and made my way here. But it's always nice to represent the minority, and that is females in motorsport. And one thing that I'm gutted about this year is obviously my own goals I can't achieve by being on the sidelines, but there's also so many young females and young people coming up to me and inspired and showing that you can do whatever you want when you grow up. And I don't mean that in just a females in a male industry. I hope that some young males look at me and think, well, actually, maybe they want to do something that's a bit more female industry, and it gives them the confidence to go and do that. So that's one thing I am gutted about, is that I'm not able to inspire that younger generation.
I can absolutely 100% assure you are. Over in the commentary box is my sister, Megan, who has been commentating for years on the touring cars and absolutely loved. In fact, Megan, can you hear us still?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you, when you were commentating on the touring cars, you were always supporting Jade Edwards and always looking where she was on the timing screen.
I was.
Don't think you can hear her there.
Just about, I think, yeah. But yeah, exactly that. And it's just showing everyone, not just females, just everyone, that you can do whatever it is you want to do in this world, whether it's motorsport or not, male or female. You can set some dreams and go and chase them.
I really hope you're back in the car this year and the money turns up.
Yeah, thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you. Tim, you got time for a word? Are you ready off the media centre? Very quickly. I've spoken to Steve Ryder today and Mark Blundell. What do you think of the touring car season?
Well, I'm always super excited this time of the year. You never know how it's going to play out. Everyone starts off on an equal footing. There's been a lot of changes over the winter. There's always things to talk about, whether it's the work the teams have done on the cars, whether it's drivers in different cars, whether it's regulation changes. There's lots of things that have been done that lead me to think it's anybody's game. The best man will always win. The cream always rises to the top. But I can't wait to see how it plays out here in a couple of weeks' time.
Oh, speaking of, hello, Scott, you're right. I was running into you earlier on as well. Are you?
Yeah, very.
I'm going to, hopefully that balances. I had to put the rain cover on. Well, I think we're speaking to Richard from the Hard Compound earlier on as well. We passed each other when you were out. What a livery you've got here as well. How does it feel out there?
Really good, really good. Yeah, loving it out there. It's we did have a little bit of an off, so that is why I don't know if the camera's going to see it. The front.
Oh my!
But it's not too bad. It's just I was just trying to find the limits of the car. That's what today was about. And yeah, maybe pushed it over the limit a little bit. But no, really enjoying it. Getting more and more laps in, and ultimately becoming more and more confident with the car.
How's it looking for 2 weeks' time then when we get back here for the actual season?
I think it'll be good. I can't wait to get my first British touring car weekend under my belt. Will be amazing, and yeah, I think it should be good. I think it should be there or thereabouts. So yeah, I can't wait to get going for the first race weekend.
I'll have to catch up with you at Knock Hill when I'm next in the paddock, so that's gonna be fun. But we're doing the watch along, so we'll look forward to seeing how you do as well. You and Chris Smiley, I was told, like that. So you're going to go with the team. How long is that going to last when you're on the track?
Well, hopefully I'm quicker than him. He's a man.
Hang on, JT, were you quicker today? I was going to ask JT when he is.
No, we're close. We are very close. So, yeah, we did put a new tyre run on. So where I had a little off, I think I would have been a little bit closer to him. But also, he's had a few years in British touring cars, so he knows like how everything runs, everything goes. So yeah, it's good to learn off of him. And yeah, I'm sure as the season goes on, I'll be closing that gap. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
I really hope so as well. That's the second driver who just turned up behind me today as well. It's like running into you lot as well. So overall, what are you thinking of the championship before I let you go?
I'm not really, at the moment, not really looking for it. Like, Jack Sears is where I want to
That's
be.
what I thought, yeah, Jack Sears.
Jack Sears is where I want to be, so I've got to try and play that how I need to play it. So, but then overall, of course, the further up the grid is the best. So yeah, it's going to be difficult. Some really good drivers, especially still in the Jack Sears. So just got to give it my all and see how it plays out.
One good race so wet race 2, you get the reverse in race 3, start on pole. Have the car just go for it? You're going to go for it?
Yeah, of course I'm going to go for it. All elbows out is what I need to do. So yeah, we know the car is good. So yeah, you just got to keep on making that gap smaller and smaller to the front boys, and yeah, hopefully it goes really well.
Well, it's been looking like champagne, so there you go. So it's been looking like it all day as well. I've seen you out a couple of times. I spent most of my day in the paddock, and I was supposed to be on track in the last session. Couldn't, because of the rain. And then, yeah, but I did notice earlier on that it was Smiley who did the front bumper, and then now you've done the end bumper. So I think you win on that.
Well, to be, he did go off at Croft, so that didn't look too pretty. So
but didn't you go off at Brands?
Me?
Did you not? Oh, you did. JT, you told me he went off at Brands. That was what we were doing. He was there. Josh Turner was at Brands, and he said that you went off. You didn't go off.
Hold up.
I did have a little problem at Brands. Like, there's a few little problems, but we kept it nicely on track on the black stuff. It didn't do that today, but again, just trying to push the car, find the limits, and it's all good preparation for the first round.
I don't know if you can hear him shouting over there. What did you say?
I don't think it was an off. I think it was a mechanical problem at the end of the
mechanical problem
straight.
At the end of the straight.
What, today?
No, on Brands.
Yeah, so that was there was a problem with the fuse, and it was sucking power from the battery. So I did have a little stop on track. So we got pulled back, then went back out. But really looking forward to getting to go the first round.
I was at the top of the Paddock Hill grandstand and could see everything. Can't hide from me.
Yeah, couldn't hide from Josh T either when he was trackside a couple of weeks ago at Brands Hatch. I think Scott Sumpton as well. I didn't even know GT on grid. Whoa, yeah, there you go, JT. But I didn't even know that that Scott was still behind me, because I saw Chris Smiley go the other way, and then Scott was just hanging behind me because I was supposed to talk with him earlier on in the day. I was having an interview with Adam Morgan lined up for the beginning of the show at 4:50, but the rain came down, and by the time I got back down to BMW, everybody had run away and hidden. So that wasn't entirely great as well. Awesome that Josh was able to get to the launch event and get these interviews. BTCC is going to be great, says Jess. And Jess, a new member of the grid team that you'll see in action as well, hopefully in a few days' time in our pre-shows. 26,000 steps. I need to step up my game. Yeah, this is what I've said actually to everybody who's on the team. I walked 12 miles. I walked the circuit, 26,000 steps. Anyone else goes trackside, that's your aim to beat. So Jackson this weekend at Long Beach, I want to see your Fitbit scores. But Matt, what access in the touring car paddock? We were talking before we came on air how great it is. And to begin this season analysis, the Napa Fords ended the test fastest with Sutton. But from what I was seeing in the paddock, the XLR8, the Accelerate team with Chilton and Ingram, looks really fast and seems confident that they can also close the gap. Is that a possibility with what we saw Napa do last year?
Well, the Napa Ford team were, especially Sutton, were extremely strong last year, and he won the championship at a canter really in the end. They have to go into the championship this year as the favourite again, but they'll have their competition as they do from time to time. And the Hyundai team probably will be the best over the season of the Team Tom with Ingram and Chilton to try and challenge them. Chilton last year was not massively at the front runner throughout the season. That was more of Ingram's job within the team. But I feel like now that Chilton's had a year under his belt with the car, then he may be a bit stronger this year. I have to wait and see how that pans out over the season. But there's going to be the challenges. You mentioned in the video, Adam Morgan and Josh Cook in the Hondas. They'll be strong from time to time. BMW are always up there with their multiple cars. Jake Hill, Colin Turkington will certainly be challenging for race victories throughout the season. So I think we're going to have a good half dozen or more race winners throughout the season. It's the people that can string together the consistency. And as we always see in British touring cars, once we have the grid draw for race 3 on the Sunday, where the top half of the grid is flipped, who can make the best of that and get through to score victories on or podiums in the third race of the day, that sometimes can make or break your season. Because if you win the first 2 races, like we've seen multiple times throughout the few years, if you get caught up in someone else's shenanigans in race 3, kind of puts a dampener on your day if you end up with the last race as a non-score. So Sutton will be the favourite going into the championship yet again. Is it looking for 5, I think, isn't it, for this year for him? And he signed a multiple-year extension with that team a couple of weeks ago. That was announced. So all things pointing upwards for Ash Sutton. If he can continue that strong form for last year, then, as I say, he'll certainly be the man to beat.
I mean, it wasn't on the video we just showed, but in the rain delay at the beginning, I did end up in the Napa garage and I was waiting for Sutton, and I kind of made my presence known. He pretended to be on the phone because he went by on the phone, but I could clearly see it was a notepad open as well. So he wasn't on the phone, but he just didn't want to speak to me. Cheeky. Although I did try and flag down Colin Turkington in the first live stream. I saw him dive right behind the trailers on the opposite end of the paddock, because you've got the garages, the paddock walk, and then you've got the trucks. Then you've got like a massive walkway. So I saw him and I thought, right, I'm going for Colin Turkington here. I did shout to him. Nothing in his ears. Either didn't hear me or didn't hear me. But then I found out why. Because BMW was really secretive about their new cars. Didn't allow anyone in, saying we're only showing what we want people to see. So can Turkington, Morgan and Hill, so the two in the West Surrey Racing and one in the Mark Blundell, Laser Tools Racing with Hill, can they close up for the championship this season? And after that, I'll tell you what I saw when I actually got a look at the BMW.
Certainly think that Hill will be a force again this year. He took the championship all the way down to the end last season. So if they've got something special up their sleeve at WSR, then certainly he'll be a factor. Turkington had a bit of a down year for him last year compared to the last few. So it'd be nice to see him back towards the front. But as I say, there's going to be multiple people up there, and going to be interesting to see what happens with Donington being the opening round after them having the group test there yesterday. So that'll be interesting to see if we get similar weather, of course, which is highly likely in April in the UK, to have similarly wet and dry weather. That could mix up the running order, especially for the first round. So yes, if BMW have got something secret that they don't want people to see, we will all find out about it in a couple of weeks' time, and you can be sure.
Right, you ready? This is what I saw, because even though they had their main garage doors closed throughout the day, they had their back doors open. So I was peering in all day. Then at the end of the test, as Josh T's now saying, Joshua Burch, the BMW spy, at the end of the test, they had all their garages open. So I walked into the pit lane and saw them with their front garages open, and I didn't take the camera in. The reason, they would seem... Sorry, I missed that first comment. They seemed so nice. You were just chilling with them and the guys. Pearson Holstead. Yeah, they got away from me. I was standing at the door in the back of the garage, and they then disappeared, and I couldn't find them again because the test ended early. Everyone wanted to get out because it was chucking it down. But with the BMWs, I walked back into the main pit lane at the end of the day. I didn't take the camera anywhere near because I didn't want to... reveal something that wasn't allowed, then get, sued or arrested and kicked out of the track by BMW security. So I left the camera at the back looking at the BMW, and I went up because I had a wireless mic stuff, as you saw. I went up, had a look at the BMW. The front tyre, the toe links as well, and the incline of how the tyres are set on the rock positions as well. Every other team have been so straight and angled. Now BMWs, they're sort of slanted inwards. New M shape as well, new rear wing, new steering wheel on the BMW, and a second lever next to the gear stick. That's not handbrakes. I don't know what that's for yet. But also, it does look like they've done something with the suspension and the aero of the body. So maybe they've made it easier to follow. I'm not too sure, but they were very, very secretive. Wrapping up what else we saw, Darrell de Jong in the 18, not a very good test, only managed to get one lap, and that was right at the end of the day in the monsoon conditions. That car would not start up, the garage doors were down. Me and Richard from the hard compound, we were looking through the door when it finally opened, just a normal door like you would have at home. We were peering into the garage and look, engine was being up, the hybrid system wouldn't work, and they couldn't fire it up. And we got the door closed on us. So that was not very nice. You don't do that, especially to the media people. Later on in the day, at the end of the test, when everyone went home, they opened up the door. And I said, I did put some nice compliments their way, saying how fantastic the team have been. I'm trying to get this car out there. Hopefully they're going to be on the grid. Personally, I don't think they're going to be on the grid because they've had limited testing, the funding's not there. And on a personal note, I did speak to Dal Dion at one point as well in the day. Very nice guy, very chilled out. That was when he thought the car would work. At the end of it, I saw him on the phone about 90% of the time I saw him. He was right at the back of the paddock towards where the restaurants are at Donington in the paddock area, on the phone all the time. His girlfriend and his mum were walking around, not looking best pleased, and I don't think he is doing well. And that's a shame because Dal Dion was a nice man. He was, very nice to talk to me there, the youngster. So yeah, that's something I noticed. Napa. Yes, they ended the test fastest, but I held back at the garage door, and I was then stood in the back of the Napa garage with Dan Camish on his side, and he did not look happy. Neither did Rowbottom. Neither of them. They were trying to understand there was something wrong with the rear of the car. It was sliding too much in the corners, and I found out when I did the track walk, I saw that someone was leaving big black lines. I mentioned it. I then found out later through text it's the Napas. They're sliding massively out the corners on the rear. It's like as soon as you turn in, it just dragging the front along. So they're really struggling with that, and they're eating up their tires. I looked at the Napa tires compared to the BMW's tires. BMW are sort of eating them closer to the rim on the inside. The Napa Fords are sort of wearing them out in lines on the outer left, so they're not doing well. And I know I hung out with them all day, and they let me in the garage when it was chucking it down with rain. But honestly, the XLR18, the Accelerate, Bristol Street Motors, what a team they are. So kind, and they are focused, and they want the championship with Ingram. Maybe Chilton's still got it as well as the independent champion for a couple of years ago. Did a couple of years, of course, in World Touring Cars. They look on the money. One Motorsport with Josh Cook. Of course, J-Ded was still trying to find money as well. Aidan Moffat had a flawless day. A few things changed. But Josh Cook could not get that car right. And he was really complaining it, as you heard J-Ded would say in the video. They're running Toyota this year, the One Motorsports. And Toyota bringing new team. They've got Watson in there and I think Rob Huff, and they've both brought money into that team, and they have got the brand new Toyotas, the brand new big ones, all the upgrades on it. And then One Motorsport, I've got last year's Toyotas, and I did jokingly go in and say because I didn't know which one was the new car and which one was last year's car but upgraded, and they said to go next door and ask. Next door is One Motorsport, so they've got last year's cars. Toyota, of course, have the new cars, but that's where the money's gone in. They've really dug their heels in there, Watson and Huff. Further down the field as well, the Goodyear seem ready with their new tyres, of course. New rules coming in because they've got the option, you've got the hard tyre and you've got softs in there too. So you've got 3 tyre compounds instead. Everyone wanted it back. Soft tyre mandatory for one race, options for the other. But here's the thing, if you win a race now, you have to start the following race on the hardest tyre available. So that's going to make it interesting that they're going to have less hybrid to use and less tyre grip. So that's going to be fun. The wet tyres this year have changed as well. That's why we didn't see much running in the afternoon, because now the wet tyres look more like intermediates. And when I headed out there later on in the day, even when it wasn't raining, it was, as you can see, this is when I did the track walk. I took this photo. A lot of damp patches, but there's a lot of rivers just forming the exit. And there's a lot of standing water. So it's not great to head out there, especially down here at the old hairpin. It all just sort of comes downhill. And you can see how flooded it is over there as well. So not great at all. And really, somewhat Goodyear look okay. Toka look okay as well with everything. And to be fair, there's a nice spirit. Restart Racing look like they're ready to go. Cracking livery. And yeah, I think I've learned a lot from finally getting to media day. I've been trying to go since 2017. Got close once, but then the world locked down with COVID. Literally the day before it was announced the UK was going to lockdown. So yeah, it's really great. And hopefully for those of you in America who watch the Grid Network show around the world, hopefully that's got you interested in the British Touring Car Championship. And I hope it has, because rounds 1, 2 and 3 from Donington Park will be on the 28th of April. It's live on ITV Sports' TikTok worldwide for free. You can watch it, and it'll be on ITV4 here in the UK as well. And Josh T became a YouTube member. JT, thank you very much as well. We need to get that sorted on my one. But Matt, final question from you. Are you looking forward to the touring cars this year? Because I'm very, very excited. I'm trying to get trackside more than the 2 I've got planned at Knockhill and Brands Hatch.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Should be good. And the opening, the last couple of years at Donington, we've seen some really terrific racing, especially. So If you're at a loose end on the 28th of April and you've got a TikTok account, get on it and watch some British touring cars throughout the day. Are they just doing the touring car races on there, or are they doing the whole ITV show? There's a question. You may or may not have had that answered.
I spoke to Alan Gow.
So.
First time I spoke to Alan Gow, I asked about this TikTok deal, and he said it's the races and qualifying staying on YouTube. So whether it's the whole thing, I don't know. Because
get Porsches or Minis and etc. So, but
I guess that's to see.
Yeah, indeed, it's pretty much 7 or 8 hours every Sunday for us here in the UK of wall-to-wall motorsport on a touring car weekend. So much to look forward to as the European season kicks off and the British Championships season kicks off in a couple of weeks' time.
So moving on to our next story as well for this evening, as I'm red with sunburn from that day when it was raining. Starting with this weekend's Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach, the NTT IndyCar Series is introducing an updated, lighter aero screen. Now, this will be mandatory on every IndyCar for the road and street course races. The lighter aero screen features vents for increased overall driver cooling and a top front duct directing air to the driver's chest. I could have done with that yesterday. And all this is in order to prevent injuries to the driver's hands during a crash. The deducting was, you see here, was 3D printing the ducting in rubber. So it's really nice and light stuff as well, but still very, very strong. Now, Tino Belli as well, the IndyCar's Director of Aerodynamic Development, said one of the objectives for creating the Aeroscreen 2.0 was indeed to save weight. Now, the first version of the Aeroscreen weighed 18.8 pounds, and now it's down to 14.5 pounds. The frame is also stronger, but weighs 6.8 pounds less, and is a combined weight reduction of 11.1 pounds. Belli added that the weight reduction and safety enhancements of the Aeroscreen 2.0 reduce downforce by approximately 35 pounds. Now, in the past, drivers have complained about the car being too heavy and the excessive heat inside the first version of the Aeroscreen, and a graphic courtesy there of Penske Entertainment. Kobe, I'll start with you on this one. Welcome back to the show. Is the new Aero screen a step in the right direction? Simple question.
Yeah, very simple and simple answer as well. But based on everything you just said, it does seem like it's a step in the right direction, because I remember the first few races when they had this aero screen on. Yes, it's a great thing for safety, and it's gonna prevent a lot of drivers from getting seriously injured in some of those big crashes we see in the NTT IndyCar Series. But the biggest issue with the aero screen was that it was just way too hot, and you saw the drivers getting out of the cars, and they were absolutely, spent. And they were drained with sweat, and it was just really difficult for them inside of that car because of the heat that was trapped in. But now that Indy cars, they spent the last couple of years working on this new design, the Aeroscreen 2.0, to try to make it better for the drivers in the cockpit. And it seems like they've done that, but we're going to wait and see what happens in practice and qualifying in the race this weekend, because I'm sure a lot of media on site are going to be asking the drivers about the new Aeroscreen and if it's been a massive improvement. But I don't think the series would have put this out there if it wasn't a massive improvement already. So hopefully it'll really help out with driver comfort. And anytime you can shed weight off a car is really good. And you said 35 pounds of downforce when you shed it, and whenever you're taking downforce off the race car, that's usually a good thing for the on-track product as well. Although I don't expect it to have a major effect on what we see on the racetrack. But at the end of the day, Aeroscreen's been a life-saving thing that IndyCar has added. Really glad that we have it, and I'm really happy that IndyCar Series is continuing to improve on one of the best inventions that we've seen.
Yeah, not really much more to add to what Kobe's just said there. Terrific thing that we've got. It's great to see that they've made changes. The heat was really a problem, especially when we get into the height of the summer. That will be question number one for all the drivers, won't it, over the weekend, was how different does the car feel and how are you adjusting to the new setup with the aero screen. The only point I'd just go with is we're already 2 races into the season, and now we've got this. This is the first of 2 mid-season changes in terms of technical specification of these cars. Yeah, don't like that, but I wish they could have got it through for St. Pete. But Otherwise, all positive thoughts. And as Kobe mentioned about the downforce Long Beach, of course, not being a massively downforcey track, we may see a little bit different run of things at Barber next weekend, because of course it's back-to-back IndyCar for the next couple of weeks. So we'll have to wait and see how it pans out. Will it affect the running order of the state of play of the championship? Probably not, but the drivers will certainly be all in approval if they can get that heat down inside the cockpit.
Yes, because we've got possibility of hybrid engines coming in as well for the IndyCars. Will F1 try and follow if it's a success? I think F1 are pretty much locked in at the moment with the Halo. They think that's the best for them. I've always thought that we would end up with F1 having the Aero screen, but they sort of left it up to IndyCar to develop, and right now they just stick with the Halo. Personally, I think the Halo's best for F1. The Aero screen's better for IndyCar because IndyCar has ovals, and there's more chances. Will Power, for instance, that crash he had at Texas, or was it Phoenix? One of the two. That is better with Aero screen than F1's Halo, which is better for F1 impacts. But I don't know. Well, let's just see, shall we? We've already had the open test for the Indy 500 with the generation of cars that won't have hybrid power and the first version of the Aero screen. That's the next oval out there. Will they return to this stronger compound and, of course, crucially heavier compound of Aero screen? As, of course, we mentioned earlier on, it's just for the road and street courses. For oval races, they'll go back to Aero screen 1 for now as well. Indy 500, by the way, their open test, as we discussed last week, a complete washout. So not much learned at all from that. But Kyle Larson, he's fast, second on that one. So watch out for the NASCAR stuff later on when we get into the month of May. And we'll do our traditional, I presume, grid tonight shows. But we're still getting the running order for that confirmed. On to our hot topic this evening then. And this one really is hot because it involves the Mercedes F1 seat, because the Mercedes junior driver, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, got to test an F1 Formula One race car for the first time in Austria at the Red Bull Ring. No, don't worry, not Red Bull itself, as is normal for Mercedes, of course, because the 17-year-old from Italy drove the Mercedes W12 from the 2021 season that saw Lewis Hamilton go down to the wire for the World Championship against Max Verstappen. Now, Antonelli said it was an incredible experience to feel the car's power and downforce, loving every second of it. He's currently driving for Prema in Formula 2 and sits 9th in the championship standings after 3 weekends. Now, after seeing Antonelli testing the W12, it makes some wonder if Mercedes is simply letting him experience the sensation of driving an F1 car, or more long-term plans to put him in a race seat for 2025. If Antonelli gets promoted to Mercedes in 2025, he wouldn't be the first young driver to enter a high-pressure situation. Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes' outgoing star, went straight to McLaren in his rookie year and handled the pressure well. We're going down for a championship lead, of course, against Alonso and Raikkonen at Sao Paulo. But we saw a safer approach when Red Bull placed Max Verstappen at Toro Rosso before getting the call up to the senior team, while Ferrari had Charles Leclerc drive for Alfa Romeo before his promotion, and the photo courtesy there of Mercedes. So if Mercedes promotes Antonelli to F1 in 2025, would it be the best for him to start off at a team like Williams or head straight in for Mercedes?
I honestly think that's a really tough question, Josh, because either way, you know, there are pros and cons to both sides of the situation. But if it were me, I would prefer a safer situation, because there's obviously going to be a seat available at Williams next year. I'm sorry, Logan Sargent, but I don't really think there's anything he can do right now to save his race seat. So I think that would probably be the best bet for Andrea Kimi Antonelli to go over to Williams. He'd be in a lower pressure environment, and he would be able to make mistakes and learn along the way without, you know, the expectations that comes with, you know, driving a Mercedes Formula One car. And there's no telling what the Mercedes Formula One car will be like in 2025. Will they make some gains and get closer to the grid like we've seen them in the past, or will they continue to slide back in the runner order and potentially see Mercedes battling in the midfield? There's totally a lot out there for 2025 that we don't know about yet. But I feel like if it were me, I would rather see him go to teams like Williams, and to develop in a low pressure environment and work his way up to the Mercedes senior team. But at the same time, we saw Lewis Hamilton, like you mentioned, Josh. He handled the pressure of going to McLaren well, and so I think Andrea Kimi Antonelli could absolutely do the same thing at Mercedes if he gets promoted. And I'm sure Mercedes would be happy to lock him down long term right away if they could, instead of signing someone to drive as a stopgap until he's ready to go. But given what we've seen from Antonelli in the past, it would not surprise me if we see him in Formula One in 2025. I guess the big question is, where will it be? Will it be at Williams in a low pressure environment, or could it be a high pressure situation where he's teammates with George Russell? It's certainly going to be interesting to follow this story in the next weeks and months ahead, because we're several months away from getting an answer on what Antonelli is going to be doing in 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add to your list of people that ran in cars before they got promoted, Oscar Piastri, of course, did a couple of years ago did a lot of running with Alpine before McLaren swooped in and snatched him away from them. A story we've talked about a lot on the grid shows in the past. But a good opportunity for the Mercedes team to see what Kimi Antonelli can do in the car rather than just on the sim. We know there's, a line to be as much as close as they can, but nothing beats the real thing. So they will have all the data come back from the running that was done, and only they will know how good or badly that day went. As I mentioned in Hots and Knots a couple of weeks ago, we've got this massively long gap now between F2 rounds. They're not back in action until we get to Imola. So chance for Andrea to get some more track time. That will prove him in good stead. Prema, who had a tricky start to the season, of course, with very rough Bahrain, and then Ollie Behrman making the move up to Ferrari at Jeddah. We'll still have to see how they progress through the season. So we could see both of those Prema drivers in Formula One in 2025. But he's still my pick to go straight in at Mercedes in place of Lewis for next season, unless something drastic happens elsewhere, especially with the Fernando Alonso news that we've had since we were last on air with Grid Tonight, of course, him signing his new extended contract with Aston Martin. So Antonelli's still my pick, but as I say, only Mercedes will know how well or badly his test went at the Red Bull Ring.
Interesting question here from Josh T. Would he be the youngest ever in terms of driver in Formula One? And specifically on that, the follow-up question would be, what race this year, as well, if it's on there, what race this year do you think Antonelli will get his FP1 drive? So there's a two-part question here. One, if he gets to drive next year, would he be the youngest ever F1 driver in history? Answer to that, no, because that, I believe, would still be Max Verstappen, who got it at 18, or was it 17 years old? Wasn't he when he started? Because he was 18 when he won. He was 18 when he won. He was 17 when he started in Melbourne.
I'm looking at the list now, Josh. Yeah, it says Max Verstappen is the youngest driver to ever start an F1 race at 17 years and 166 days old. And the second was Lance Stroll at 18 years, 148 days. Third is Ollie Behrman, 18 years, 305 days. And Lando Norris, fourth youngest driver at 19 years, 124 days, started F1 race. And then Fernando Alonso is the only other active F1 driver on that list at 19 years and 218 days.
Oh, and interesting about Alonso, he by the end of his contract, he'll be the oldest driver in F1 for over 45 years. Since he'll be 45, won't he? But since 1978, maybe. No, that's when he died. 75 then for Graham Hill. Yeah. When he ran his own team, Graham Hill Racing, and he of course entered the Monaco Grand Prix, didn't qualify, and then was like, that's it. I'm not doing this anymore, which was very painful for him as well because he wanted to keep driving, but he knew he wasn't fast enough anymore. And not qualifying for Monaco really, really upset him. If you haven't seen Driven, the Graham Hill story, I implore you, go watch it. I think it's on YouTube and Dailymotion. Such an amazing documentary as well, and such an amazing man. Josh T, yes, it's 8 or 5. Yeah, if it's so, yeah, I think it'll be, yeah. He'll get practice sessions this year. He has to because Hamilton. Well, he has to. Hamilton has to give up his seat and go straight to Antonelli. So he'll at least get 2. Can't wait for Imola for the F2 to see how he does as well. That's a big possibility. And Adam, hello, Adam, has become a YouTube member as well to the Green Hour. Thank you, Adam. And he also poses a question: Kimi Antonelli, Vegas Grand Prix FP1. Now, to be fair, that's a good point. I think they might, because Mercedes want to promote a big star at the big Grand Prix, and there's a lot of buzz around Antonelli. That's a possibility, isn't it? Put him in there for FP1.
More track time for him, the better. If he's going to get the seat, and it probably will be confirmed by that point, that's a good point. We can get him in there and get him an extra hour's worth of running on a track that you're not going to get to every week and just stick a car out on track. So, Adam, very good point there.
I think that's going to be a big possibility. And there was one more thing I wanted to say about this topic that I can't remember about Logan Sargent, because I know he's not going to be at Williams, but I agree with both your points. Sargent is going to get booted out, possibly even by mid-season with the way that Williams are treating him. I've just got this feeling: are they going to stick Schumacher in for the second half of the season, get him readied up in case Antonelli doesn't get the super license points? Because you've got to still get his points.
Would he be allowed to by both Mercedes and Alpine? Because don't forget that Mick Schumacher, World Endurance Championship contracted Alpine driver. More an Alpine driver.
That's a great point. Great point.
Oh, it's fun, isn't it? It's like, what's going to happen there? I reckon there'll be some deal as well. So make sure he can get in the car if they want him. But I'm going to keep an eye on that. I might actually have to take a closer look as well. Yeah. I'm going to hand it over now to Matt White because he's got the latest for us from the Grid EPI update.
Thank you, Josh. Week 3 of the Grid Endurance Performance Index for 2024. And much like last week, and much like this week coming up, it was a huge weekend for endurance racing around the world. We start off at the Nürburgring, where we had the 3rd and 4th races for the NLS, the Nürburgring Langstrecke Series, used to be called the VLN, of course, which also counted towards the qualifying races to get teams into the 24 hours of the Nürburgring later on in the summer. Porsche dominated again. Tim Heinemann and Sven Muller winning on Saturday. There was 2 4-hour races over the weekend. They were the winners overall on Saturday and in the Pro category. Hubert Haupt, Dennis Fetzer and Josef Ovega winning in Pro-Am. The week before, of course, Haupt and Fetzer were winners in the races as well. So that was 3 in a row for all that combination. On Sunday, Nico Menzel and Martin Raginger were winners in the Pro category. And in a change lineup in that same team at Haupt Racing, Hubert Haupt stepped out. He was replaced by Ralph Aron, and Aron, Ovega and Fetzer continued that run to win the race on the Sunday. Down in Australia at Phillip Island, the GT World Challenge Australia got underway with Liam Talbot and Chaz Mostert winning on Ferrari's debut with the new 296 in Australia on Saturday. Brendan Leach and Tim Miles getting a victory on Sunday. Super GT kicked off as well at the weekend with Sho Tsusobi and Kenta Yamashita winning in GT 500 at the Circuit Aida in Okayama. GT 300 was won by Yu Tumisumi and Hibiki Tiara. And the last race of the weekend to tell you about was at Barcelona, where the European Le Mans Series got underway. Lorenzo Flusha, Malfi Jakobsen and Mitomo getting the win, Miata, getting the win in LMP2. In the LMP2 Pro-Am category, Francois Perrodo, Matt Vaxivier and Alessio Rivera were the winners. LMP3 was won by Julien Gerbi, Benoit Pinheiro and Guillaume Henrion. And in GT3, the Lawson brothers, Johnny and Conrad, joined by Nicholas Nielsen, were winners for Ferrari. There is the standings for week 10, as you've been seeing on the screen. Lawrence Vanfour continues his lead over his Porsche teammate Matt Campbell and his Porsche teammate Kevin Estra. And then there's some more Porsche drivers there with Archie Guven and Tim Heinemann as well. So it is a Porsche fest towards the top end of the Grid EPI. Another busy weekend to come this weekend. We've mentioned Long Beach for IndyCar. Of course, there is the IMSA race on the Saturday afternoon. We've just had the 2 longest races of the year for IMSA, and now we've got the shortest at 100 minutes for the GTP and GTD categories. World Endurance Championship gets its second round at the weekend. They are at Imola for the 6 hours. It is the Spa 12 hours for the Creventic Series over the weekend. And the GT World Challenge Asia kicks off its season at Sepang. There is the top 50. Plenty of changes again this week, and plenty of changes to come this coming week with all those championships and races going on. We'll bring you all of those races and scorers and winners. 23 races down of the 151 races that count towards the Grid Endurance Performance Index for 2024. Plenty to come this week, and we'll, as I say, bring you the winners and results and an updated score on the show next week. Now it's time to hand back to Kobe with more of the week's headlines.
Thanks, Matt. And there's not really many headlines to talk about this week. Only have one story on what's been a slow news week for the most part. But the only story I got for y'all tonight is GT3 star Jules Gounon will make his prototype debut in this weekend 6 hours at Imola. Gounon will replace the injured Ferdinand Habsburg in the number 35 Alpine Endurance team in the hypercar class. He'll co-drive with Charles Malesi and Paul-Luc Chatin. An Alpine spokesperson told Sportscar 365 that Habsburg was injured in a testing crash at Motorland Aragon, suffering 2 fractured lumbar vertebrae with no neurological impact, thankfully. Meanwhile, Gounon makes his first prototype start as he currently serves as Alpine's reserve driver in sports cars, and he continues his long-standing relationship as a Mercedes factory driver. Photo there, courtesy of Alpine. And now going to turn over to Matt for everyone's favorite game, Pick a Winner. Got quite a few races to do tonight.
Yeah, we have. And just to add to that Gounon story, he was supposed to be at Sepang this weekend driving a Mercedes, but has got the call up for Alpine. So as the man mentioned in the EPI update, Ralph Aron will take his place at Sepang this weekend. Pick a Winner this week is a massive one. It is a very, very busy weekend. There is the score. Still tied at the top with Ben and Matt on 12 points. Adam is up to third ahead of Kobe. I am 7th. Where is Josh as our on-screen talent?
Don't bother.
I can't even see you, Josh, on the scoreboard. Oh, yeah, you are. Lots of people on 3. So plenty of points still to be scored. 154, I think it is from my count, still to be scored in Pick a Winner for 2024. And as you can see, the leaders are on 12. So plenty of chances to get your name on the board again this week. And we start with our picks of the night, because we have the first sprint race in Formula 1 this weekend. It is at Shanghai, 4 a.m. UK time. Yay. Who's going to win a sprint race? Max Verstappen for me.
Yeah, I think this was pretty easy, going with Max Verstappen as well to win the sprint race in China.
Max Verstappen, 110%. Circuit hasn't gone well out in the past, but with this car, it's going to work the best around this one. Unless Max Verstappen still has the curse at this place, it will be him. Has to be.
Yeah, he's not gone particularly well here in the past, although we haven't been here for quite some time either. Rally Croatia is this weekend, the next round of the Rally Championship, round 4 of their season. Really, if you want to get our picks in for Croatia. Sebastian Ogier is back for Toyota, and he'll have a decent road position. If it was a gravel event, it doesn't quite work that way on tarmac. I'm going to go with his teammate who did win here a couple of years ago. Elvin Evans is my pick for Croatia.
That's a great pick, Matt, but I'm going to go with the other guy. I'm going to go with Sebastian Ogier to surprise you and get the win at the Croatia Rally.
I won't pick White Tanak because I've picked him for the last couple of weeks and he's had terrible luck, and I think I put the hex on him a little bit. Supercars is back this weekend. They were last in action at the Australian Grand Prix alongside Formula 1. They're in New Zealand at Taupo for the first time. 2 races for them this weekend, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. We've never been here with these cars and this championship, so it's a bit open, the book on this one. I'm going to go with Will Brown, championship leader, to continue his strong start to the year.
I promise I'm not copying it, Matt. I'm also gonna go with Will Brown. I really like the swagger that Will Brown has shown so far this year with Red Bull and Pro Racing. And as it was said on a previous show, yeah, there's a lot of pressure on him to replace Shane Van Gisbergen in that car. And so far, Will Brown is certainly looking the part, and I think he'll keep the good times rolling as Supercars returns to New Zealand. Really happy to see Supercars back racing there again.
And the last one for us to do tonight, mentioned as part of the Endurance Performance Index update, is the IMSA race on the Saturday at Long Beach. We've had multiple different winners over the years here. Porsche won last year. I am going to go with a bounce back story after them being upside down at Sebring. I'm going to go with the 31 Whelen car to win on Saturday night.
Yeah, that would be quite a story for Action Express Racing to get the victory after that scary crash that Pippo Durrani suffered in the Mobile 1 12 Hours of Sebring. But I'm going to go with the other Cadillac, the number 01 from Chip Ganassi Racing. Ringer Van Azetta, Sebastian Bourdais. I think they're going to get a job done on the streets of Long Beach. And Adam showing his pick a winner as well. And for the Formula 1 sprint race, I think Max Verstappen is going to take that one. And World Rally Championship, Elfyn Evans, Supercars. For your race one is Brock Feeney. And the second race, Brody Kostecki. It would be quite something for Brody to win on his first weekend back. And also, you agree with Matt that the number 31 Action Express Whelen Engineering Cadillac is going to win at Long Beach. And now, Matt, going to turn over to you again for Hots and Knots.
And don't forget, the pick a winner post will be up on social media soon, so you can get your picks in for those races. Also, the second Supercars race, the Grand Prix in Shanghai, NASCAR at Talladega this weekend, and the IndyCar race at Long Beach. So a huge list of picks to get in. For pick a winner, get your name on the board, and we could be talking about you on that leaderboard this time next week. Omi, yes, you need to get your picks in. And don't forget, with WRC, that starts on Friday, so you need to make sure you get your pick in this evening or tomorrow, wherever you are watching around the world. Time for Hots and Knots on what was, as I mentioned, a extremely busy weekend this weekend prior. I've only managed to catch up with MotoGP so far from the weekend. So my Hots and Knots are based on what happened at COTA, and hot, obviously, is the race itself. That was the best MotoGP race we've had in 7, outside of races at Phillip Island, caveat, 6 or 7 years in a dry race. It was crackers, absolutely crackers.
Assen in, 18 was it?
When Marquez won.
That amazing race, that was, I think, up there. What a perfect time to have a good MotoGP race. You've just been brought by Liberty Media. You want to get more fans involved. Go and deliver that. I've been having people telling me all season long, I'm sure you have too, oh, MotoGP, it's boring. You know, the Ducatis, they're running away with it. Bagnaia going to win the title by a country mile. If I'm not mistaken, Bagnaia's not even in the top 4 in the championship.
No, he's had a terrible start to the season, really.
Yeah. Martin's leading it. Acosta's up there, so's Vinales, and Bastianini, of all people, are up there. What a season. I think Pedro Acosta's brilliant. Mark binning it as well. That was high drama. And even the sprint race was good. The sprint race was great. The Grand Prix was great. And I was shouting like mad in the commentary box as well. And it was one of the best races I think I've seen for a very, very long time. It actually made me like, wow. But that's not my not. That's not my hot. That's your hot as well.
That's
so
right.
What's your hots in that one?
I had to go back and check because, as you know, and as a few people watching will know, I keep a log of all the races I watch because I'm sad like that. It was the first MotoGP race I'd watched since the Argentinian sprint race of last year live. It's been that long since I actually watched a MotoGP race live. Good job I did because it was crackers. My other hot from COTA was the tyre wear in Moto3 and Moto2. It's so much better with these Pirelli tyres this year. We knew what we were getting with Dunlop for such a long time, and you could just go hard from lap 1 all the way to the finish without really having to worry about tyre wear. This year, it's just thrown everything up in the air in both classes. The Moto3 race was absolutely crackers as well, with people falling off left, right, and centre. More about it in a minute when we get to knots. But yeah, I really, really am enjoying Moto2 for the last 3 or 4 years. Moto3 at the beginning of the day, oh yeah, great. And then you have to sit through Moto2 before you get to the Grand Prix. And now the Moto2 race is back where it was when Moto2 started in 2010, whenever that was, when Moto2 started, and it was really good because every week you just never sure who was going to win, and Tony Elias came through to win the championship. But yeah, Moto2 is back, I feel like, after a couple of years in the doldrums. Josh T says hot is behind you, Josh, Media Day at Donington. I'm guessing that's your hot from the week.
Yeah, absolutely. That is my hot for the week. Adam says, what's hot? MotoGP at Kota, BTCC season preview, and SVG's Wendy's schemes for Talladega. Oh, they look good, don't they, for SVG?
And Macaulay Jones is running Wendy's colours in New Zealand in supercars as well. So we've got Wendy's everywhere this week.
Out of interest, I know it looks like a washout for Sunday's Talladega race as well. And that's going to be like, it's going to go Monday, isn't it?
Sounds highly likely that we're going to have no Talladega on Sunday, and that means, everybody, if the Sunday Talladega race gets washed off, watch the Long Beach Grand Prix, please.
Yes. Yeah.
I implore you to go flick over to NBC and watch IndyCar.
I'm selfish here because I know you and Matthew are commentating on it, but if that's a washout, that means I get Talladega on the Monday, and I'd love that personally. I would. Let's just go to the big hot for me is this touring cars. I've spoken about it before. Last time I was in F1 paddock, I had to go out by the F1 media representative. I was in Barcelona. I was depressed on the second day of testing so much. I walked around the track and I was, crying. I was so out of it, and I felt very, very alone and very, very like, what am I doing? And it sort of put me off and was nervous going into a paddock. Next time I went into a paddock was touring cars in 2021. And that was during COVID, where everyone had masks on. You couldn't go anywhere. You could only walk around and you couldn't really have a word, but everyone was very nice still. To actually get back to a paddock and to be welcomed by racing drivers, broadcasting legends, the head of the series coming to speak to me and knowing me by name by the end of the day, I felt like for the first time I belonged in that paddock, and I had such an amazing day. Everybody in the touring car paddock is so kind. Everybody's so friendly, and I've genuinely, for the first time, felt like I was a part of it. And it's true what they say. Yes, F1's the Piranha Club, but the touring car is just a massive traveling circus. They're all family, and I felt already after one day I was embedded in it. So I can't wait to get back trackside and do more. That is going to be an ultimate hot for me. And everyone left. Pit lane was open. I walked the circuit. It took me an hour, but I'm so glad I did. Was live on Instagram for it as well, just having fun. And I enjoyed every single second of it. And yes, I walked and blistered my feet and 26,000 steps, 12 miles walked, but wouldn't change a second of it. It was one of the best days I've ever had in my life, and I will not forget that in a hurry.
Excellent, and that is what we like to see. And as mentioned at the very top of the show, we've got Jackson at Long Beach at the weekend, so more grid talent off to the racetrack. Omi says Knott's Mazzana. Now, I've heard lots about it, both races. I haven't seen them yet. I'm looking forward to catching up on debacles. Well, how can a spec part not be a spec part or whatever on Da Costa on Saturday? Just boggles the mind. I'm going to go early with a knot, even though I've not seen it. When Formula E started, everyone poo-pooed Formula E for what they were doing. I thought it was good. It was great. They're just going way away from where it was, even pre-COVID. We've got Mazzano, Shanghai, Mexico to some degree. We're not going to the street tracks anymore that this series was built on. And we've got all this conjecture about rules and racing rules as well as technical rules. It really isn't in a good place at the minute. I worry for Formula E for many facets that, it's just not in a very good place. Josh T says first day back at school was a knot for British Touring Car Media Day, as he couldn't go on.
Yeah, I was solo having to do selfie sticks, literally with a tripod selfie, trying to get the phone in and doing everything. That's why some of the videos didn't look, like in sync, because it was me. I was the only one trackside. It's the first time I've ever been solo by myself at a track, by the way. I completely agree with you. I know we're on the Grid network, but literally today, our colleagues over at Formula E Zone have had Jeff Dobbs on, and I'm trying to get him on for Grid to do an interview, like how we do live in the Grid and all that lot. So I'm trying to get him on to have a word, because I want to know why we are going to these street circuits and why everyone's going like this, why they're using celebrities to endorse. Apart from Usain Bolt, celebrities who turn up don't want to be there and don't know what to do, and they don't bring much in. So I want to really have a sit down talk and see if we can get that arranged now that we've got some emails. But Mazzano was a mess. The last 8 laps of each race, Matt, you'll enjoy, because that was a proper race. But before that, it was Peloton style racing, but
which I don't
dangerous.
Anyway.
No, it was dangerous. It's not even like Portland or Sao Paulo. This was dangerous. We had cars lifting in chicanes, lifting on straights, braking, testing people, cars going over the top of each other and breaking front wings. It was dangerous. It's only a matter of time someone will get killed doing that. They've got to sort it. And of course, it only happened because Mazzano was supposed to be where attack charge was brought in. That's why they should have been able to come in and charge up with energy. Didn't happen. And it's unlikely to happen this season. It's going to happen next year. So that's why we had all these problems with Peloton races. It's a joke. Yeah, go to racetracks, go to proper racetracks. That's fine. But make sure you have the ability to charge the cars up, and we don't have that style of racing. It was a mess.
At least they've got Monaco to come next, I guess, which is obviously their grand marquee race of the whole year. My other knot goes back to Kota. Was Ivan Ortola in Moto 3. He crashed twice. Every time the camera cut him, he was on the edge of crashing. And when he did crash the first time, what was a silly move up the inside of people in the stadium section, he decided to try and get on a bike which was not his.
It was his last year's.
It was his team from last year, of which he won on at that racetrack.
Oh, no. I couldn't stop laughing.
You haven't managed to see the Ivan Ortola show from Moto 3 at the weekend, try and find it. It's on many people's Twitter or X accounts. Another knot from Moto 3 quickly was David Alonso clearing off at the front of the field. We were focused on the race for second, and we never saw him cross the line. And then after he crossed the line, they struggled to find him while they were looking at the team celebrating in the garage, while the guy who's probably going to win the championship this year, for my money, had just won another race. Poor TV direction.
Yeah, I want Liberty to change that, because I was getting dizzy watching some of it this weekend, and it really did. Trying to follow that in the commentary box was really, really hard. And I hope Liberty do change that. We need a tightening up of that. And also, I really hope Liberty do what they did with F1, because we've had that great MotoGP race. Have you seen the race highlights on YouTube? No, nothing.
Not there yet, are they? No.
Best race of the year, best race in ages, nothing. Nothing. It's they could do a better job than Dorna.
That's gone away.
And well, it's not gone away for Formula E, and that's what you've got to put up with next time out. So don't get your hopes up too much. I'm not doing that race. I'm not commentating that one, because I think I'm doing a sprint race for MotoGP at the time. So I think Jess is on the call for that one. Who you'll hear on the new member of the team coming up soon as well during our pre-shows. Final knot for me, and it is an interesting knot. I still don't like these NASCAR stages, and I hated the overtime. It was a mess. Absolute mess trying to get that race finished the other day at Texas. And the stages still don't work, because you have 2 stages exactly the same, and then you've got a third stage that's double the length. I know what you're trying to do, but it removes the pushing in the first stage, because they're not long enough to have pit stops in for both either tyres or for fuel. Only if a caution comes out does anyone bother coming down. So that needs to change. Otherwise, it's still boring me. But what a thing as well, can I just say, for Chase Elliott. Big thumbs up.
Yeah, good to see him finally get back. A 2-week or 3-week-old knot quickly while we're talking NASCAR, because I finally watched the Richmond race last night.
Oh, yes.
If the whole wet weather tyre thing on ovals, if that's the way they're going to use them, just don't bother. Absolutely do not bother. They brought them in way early. They made them all change in uncompetitive pit lane. Yeah, stop with that. I know they're trying to bring it in measured way. But just let them race.
Well, you've reminded me because Goodyear provide the tyres. Goodyear also provide the tyres in the touring cars. And when I walked the track, I got a huge marble, like massive marble, and I put it in one of the boxes I stole from the empty pit garages because it was just an empty box that was thrown away. They were coming, and if you watch the Instagram live, you know that the rubbish, they're coming to take it all away. So I just picked it up. But I left it downstairs. I should have put it on. I could have shown you the rubber. But honestly, I know we're closing out now. Final thing, if you want to go to a motorsport event where at the end of the day you can get out there and walk the track for free with nobody bothering you, where you can get up and close and personal with the cars, the drivers, the media, everything, British Touring Cars, the place to be. 110%. 100. Best paddock. Go on.
I just remembered another knot, talking of how good British Touring Car is, and at least their first round is in the UK. Because the British Superbike Championship starts this weekend, and where is it? Spain. Yes.
Famous for being part of the British Empire until the Spanish Inquisition.
And, of course, part of the European... Oh, hang on a minute. No, we're not in there, or are we?
So why are we racing there?
Navarra, the weekend, which is, of course, part of MSV, Motorsport Vision, which is Donington and Brands Hatch and everything else. Yes, it'll be good to see them in sunshine, but it should still be at Silverstone. There's my 2p on British Superbike for the weekend.
If I duck my Kobe, could you just put me full screen for a second? Because I just want to try and see if you can see it up here. No, you can't. Palmer Sports advertising. Oh, there's one. Just here. Yeah, everywhere around the circuit. It was mad how many times you see Palmer Sports and Palmer Motorsports. But yeah, it was crazy. Okay, I'm losing my voice after this. And yesterday, I only just got it back today after traveling back. Taking a look. No, it would have gone completely. Taking a look at our upcoming schedule. Saturday, Grid Live pre-race. That is at noon Eastern. Sunday, Grid Live wrap-up. Now, that is 90 minutes after the NASCAR Cup Series race at Talladega. But be warned, that might change because of the washout. So we'll keep you up to date with what's going to happen with that if we lose the Talladega race. We might have a combined show on Monday, when we should air the Grid Live Encore, which will recap the ARCA and Xfinity races at Talladega as well, plus the ARCA West race at the Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway. Kern Raceway? I hope I've done that one right. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Thank you for helping us reach the milestone of 1,000 subscribers. Now on the road to 2,000 subscribers. You can hit the bell icon to get notifications for when we go on the air. And you can follow all our social media platforms and visit gridranking.com. You can take 5 minutes to invest in the Grid Network through Patreon. Join Colin, Mark, Rochelle, Robin, David, and Matthew, who invest each month in the Grid Network. And we encourage you to join these fine folks who keep us on the air. And once we hit $500 per month, we can start sending our teams to the track to cover more races and continue expanding our coverage. The link to all that is in the video description. On that end, we've got Jackson trackside this weekend, and I've just come back from being trackside. So it is very much money well spent. As you saw earlier on in the program, it really does help us get content out there as well. And if you want to make a one-time donation, you can click on the Buy Me a Coffee link and get your name on the board and invest as much as you want. And consider buying a specific on-air personality cup of coffee and a thank you on the air. And buy one for Jackson Lambrose as well, who's covering IndyCar this weekend at Long Beach. And you can also support us by donating during our live streams through Super Chat. So I've been to Donington. I've also been staying with my sister, who's got a 6-month-old baby, who was crying throughout the night. Poor thing as well, teething. So I'm looking forward to hitting the bed and getting a very well-deserved sleep, as I'm sure Matt is. And Kobe, I know you've got a couple of hours left as well. But for Kobe Lambeth and Matt White from the Grid Endurance Performance Index, I'm Joshua Burch. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time. Good night.